Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the 61st episode of the Supernova Show. And I am your host, Colton Roberts. And let's go ahead and throw up our welcome time banner. And we got a good show today. We're going to talk some Schmoedown stuff. And then jump to Moon Knight episode 5 and 6. And then talk about spoiler talk for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So yeah, that will be pretty exciting. We've got our main man today back with us. We've got Mr. Robert Kastner, and of course, last week we had Laura Kelly on the show. So thank you, Laura, for coming on the show. I super appreciate it. Yeah, that was a good time. But yeah, come on out. Mr. Robert Kastner.
He's back. Did you miss me, Supernova Show people? Wasn't gone too long. I am here again. Just was having a not great time last week. Needed to recuperate, but it's fine. You didn't need me as a third wheel in your Laura Kelly conversation. So
yeah, like almost an hour in, she put in the private chat, she's like, I gotta end this soon, because she was like, or we'll sit here all day. I was like, oh, trust me, if you hadn't have told me, I could have sat here for another hour and talked to you about Star Wars. But it was good. It was really good. It's so weird talking to someone who they got introduced into Star Wars. Like, they watched it when they were younger, but they weren't big fans of it. They got introduced into Star Wars with The Force Awakens.
That's really weird.
Yes, it is.
To me, that's incredibly weird.
Yeah, especially like, so she's never read any of the Legends novels. Like, it was a very interesting conversation to have with someone who, like, I love the Throne trilogy to the point where, I still have my my books that I was going to use as props last week below my desk here, because I was like, ooh, and I have not had the time to move it because I have not been in my office in almost a week. But it's good. Like, we talked about the High Republic for a long time. 10 out of 10. Would absolutely recommend anyone out there that wants to do Star Wars stuff. Yeah, watch Star Wars stuff, read Star Wars stuff. The High Republic. That's where it's at. But yeah, it was good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, sir. I had a day off today, so I was reveling it up, not having to go to the salt mines, if you were. Not really salt mines. It's just my position over there, which you can see in the camera. This area is where I work. This area is where I play or do the other sort of work of which I feel like I have more of a good grasp on, which is speaking. But it's been pretty good. Maybe Laura should be like a guest host, and she should come in like every month and talk to you about Star Wars stuff, the kind of stuff that I know Colton wants to talk about with someone who's as invested. I love Star Wars, but I don't love it as much as you.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing. Like, we talked about how, like, my fandom with Star Wars pretty much ended with The Rise of Skywalker, and it was my wife who brought me back. Like, she even The Mandalorian season 1 did not undo what The Rise of Skywalker did for me, which, like, sucks, because, like, The Rise of Skywalker happened, and then my wife bought me a Rise of Skywalker poster for Christmas. She was like, I know you hate this movie. I got it before I knew you would hate it. I'm so sorry. And I was like, yeah. It's my least favorite of the 12 Star Wars movies. It might be my least favorite Star Wars content that they've ever made, that anyone has ever made. But yeah, so like her like planning my wedding, Star Wars related and all that stuff, I was just like, yes, let's go. But yeah, it was a good show. Like, I cannot wait for Kenobi. Of course, we're not going to talk really about Kenobi, but I mean, we can talk about it right now if you've seen the new trailer.
I have seen the new trailer a few times, actually.
It looks pretty good.
What's not to like? But you know what? I said that about Boba Fett trailers too. Maybe not to the same degree, but I did say similar things, and it ended up disappointing me on the whole. So I'm going to be tempered in my expectations. That's how I'm going to approach this. I don't know how you feel about it. Obviously, you enjoyed it. You said how good it was, but I'm going to go in with a little bit of tempered expectations.
Yeah. I'm really excited for Celebration because I think they're going to announce Bad Batch season 2. So that's always good because I really enjoyed that. Like we talked about that pretty well last year. So yeah, excited about Kenobi, Andor. I'm sure Mandalorian season 3 will be good.
Yeah, I mean that's Kenobi's going to be great. Kenobi plays into different aspects of Star Wars lore that I was trying to get into, but I hadn't finished. There's some portions of that aren't as aren't as adept. I'm adept at, but looking forward to that. But it's really kind of when do we get to Mando season 3 for me at this point?
In a future reference, since I just heard thunder outside, it's been storming all day. So if you see me disappear, that's why my power has probably gone out. I hope.
Oh no!
Knock on wood.
That will make for a very interesting show then.
Just it'll be all through, and you'll be on until someone comes and closes the stream out. So yeah, that'll be loads of fun. Yeah, like I don't know how that will work. Like if you just leave the stream, like it obviously will keep on playing. I think it will play for 24 hours before it just kicks off. So yeah, that will be loads of fun just watching the background for 24 hours. Yeah. So but yeah, this week's been really good. We got Moon Knight episode 5 and 6. I still have not managed to watch Halo yet, which is the reason why I didn't put it up in the docket because honestly, I don't know if I care. Like I like the first, what was it, 3 episodes? 2 episodes? I don't remember.
How many you watched? You don't remember?
Yeah, I don't remember. Let me look at my Prime real quick.
I've watched the first 4 or 5. I haven't watched the last 2 weeks. So if we were gonna,
yeah,
at that point it would have been bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've watched the first 3.5. Halfway through episode 4, I was just like, I don't want to watch this. And then I heard episode 5 is really, really good, but I just haven't. Yeah, like no. But I will get back around to watching all of that. It's just there's so many things to do with your life, and like
you mean like raise your children and have a family and love your wife and those.
Yeah, plus like the last 6 weeks, I've had a new son, so I've been playing around with him. And when we're at the house, my wife wants to watch TV, and whenever we're watching TV, it's a lot of the stuff that she likes to watch because I don't really argue when it comes to TV. Except I was watching earlier. I was watching Pirates of the Caribbean. So whenever I'm done with this, I told her I was like, I'm going back to watching Pirates of the Caribbean because
Which one?
The first one.
A good one. Yes.
Yes. I pertain that actually I like 2, 3, and 4. I cannot stand 5 at all.
2's decent. There's just a lot going on. 3 I gotta be honest. I watched that like 2 months ago, and it took forever.
Yeah, it goes way too much into like the magic side of things and not the pirate side of things. But then I think 4 ended the series really well. Like the end of it is Jack and Mr. Gibbs being like, hey, maybe that's your legacy as the person who found the Fountain of Youth. And he's like, yo ho, a pirate's life for me. And then he walks away and it fades to black. And I'm like, yes, that's the perfect ending. And then they have to undo it with Dead Men Tell No Tales. And then, well, we'll never see another one after that. even though they insinuated it's going to be one because of shenanigans that have happened in real life. But because of the shenanigans that have happened in real life, I've watched a lot of his movies in the last 3 weeks. So because the court case is in Virginia and I'm in North Carolina, so I was like, if it wasn't for the fact that it was like 5 hours away, I would totally go to it.
Really?
Yeah, I would totally I mean, both of them are, famous people, and I'm not going to meet a whole lot of famous people. So, yeah, I would totally do that.
I mean, Danny McBride and his crew are sort of in your neck of the woods, are they not?
Yeah, but I mean, that's true. There are a lot of people from North Carolina. Like Zach Galifianakis has a house in the county next to me, but I would never just show up there. That'd be real weird. But
I mean, how much more weird than your normal day today?
100%.
Oh, okay.
I mean, people know where his house is because he's lived there since before he was famous. But I think it'd be so weird for someone random stranger to knock on his door and be like, "Hey, what's up?" Even though I don't remember the last movie I watched that I liked that he was in. Probably The Campaign, but okay. Good to know. All right, so let's move on to the movie trivia report.
Yes,
I was trying to vamp there.
Do some stuff. Let's see how we can we can parlay into the normal stuff that we talk about.
So the database and Janine, aka the system, beat the Barbarian and Gold Leader, aka the exclusive.
So I didn't watch that match, full disclosure, but I did watch the free for all.
Okay.
And I was impressed. I had no idea who the database was at all. And I know that Rue had indicated who the database was when he was on a couple weeks ago, but that didn't really mean anything to me at the time. He was good in the free for all. So after watching that, thinking back to that match, I was like, well, with Janine, maybe that match wouldn't have gone the way I would have thought.
Yeah, I had already made my prediction for that because I hadn't watched the match yet. Because I always when I get sent the Patreon link, I tell you what's happening.
Yes.
Because I know you're going to watch it as well.
Yes.
But before I start it, I go ahead and make my predictions and send them to you because that's, the honorable thing to do. Theoretically, I could totally watch the entire show and then send you the link.
You could.
I could, but
that's not really sporting.
I would not be 10-14 if I did.
You would definitely be in better throws.
Yes. But yeah, so the exclusive, they got Star Wars, and that was the easiest Star Wars category ever. And
I mean, it's Star Wars in a in a regular movie trivia match. That's bound to happen. That they would be a little bit more surface level stuff.
Yeah, and Gold Leader, I don't remember what the question was, but it was in round 2 when they got Star Wars. He was apparently was not familiar with the rules of round 2 or something. I don't know what happened, but he knew the answer, but he said repeat the question instead of saying the answer.
Oh my god.
And then Barbarian was like, no, just say the answer. And he was like, oh, okay, I've never had to take this long to answer a question. Oh. And then he immediately said the answer. And I was just like, man.
It's good chemistry there, I bet.
I will say, being that the fact that the Barbarian up until this season was a pure IG player, or up until early or late last season, and Gold Leader has been a pure Star Wars player, they only won by 3 points or something like that.
Janine at the database, you mean?
So yeah, and now seeing what the database can actually do, they should have absolutely killed.
They should have crushed them.
Yeah,
but Barbarian's a good player overall.
Yeah, but I asked Laura if she would ever go into another division, and she was like, absolutely not. She was like, "Yeah, no." I was like, "Well, Goldlinger went in the team." She's like, "Yeah, no, I
She's like,
don't
that
have the time."
holds no appeal to me whatsoever.
Yeah, she was like, "That does not. I don't have the time for all that." I was like, "I understand. Like, as someone who's played in the fan leagues, like I could do Star Wars. I don't think I could ever do Geek anymore. Like, watch
Oh. I mean, watching through a couple geek matches with the additional stuff that's in there that's not typical to stuff that I study, it would take me a minute to get up to speed.
Yeah, like Rue has one got to stay for Monday, and it's Star Trek.
Star Trek. Yep.
And I don't. I mean, I know who the characters are. It's Picard and Kirk and Data and crap. Who's the other one?
Who is it?
I don't know. I'm gonna pull up the picture.
Is it Ahura?
Nope. I would recognize.
Scotty? Oh, it's Bones. It's Carl Urban's Bones, right?
No, I don't think
Are you
so.
sure? Because I thought I remember seeing a.
Oh, it's Spock, and then
Oh,
two
okay.
other people that I have no idea who they are.
Who
Wait.
are
Oh, you can't.
I can't see that.
Let's see if I can just pull it up and
Hold
share
on.
my screen.
It's on Rue's thing.
Facebook, yeah.
All right, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, I have no idea who the outside people are.
Oh.
No clue.
Oh my
One of them could be old Bones, and I have no idea who the other one is.
How dare you?
Because I didn't watch, like, I watched The Next Generation, which is the reason why I definitely know who Picard is.
That's old Scotty, James Doohan, and then it's old Bones, which is DeForest Kelly.
Okay. Yeah, I have no. But yeah, it's none of the characters. I guess he used the. I didn't see the poll, so I assume it's the character and not. But yeah, it's all the old school.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's not more Kelvin universe people because I love Carl Urban's Bones. I know he's just doing basically a DeForest Kelly Bones, but I like his version of it. And I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the Kelvin cast I don't like.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, they're all good. I remember going to that movie or like seeing a preview for it, and I'm like, John Cho is gonna be Sulu. Are we serious with this? And then I watched it, and I was like, yeah, I get it.
So, the next match was the appointment, which is Mr. Irwin and Nick Harley, and they played Top Dogs, which is Adam Gertler and Eric Zipper. And now Adam Gertler is now a luchador, and I totally approve. And I realized, like, I asked Amaru when they filmed this match because they asked a Chris Rock question, and not a single of the 6 people on screen made a slap joke. And I was like, when was this filmed? And he was like, oh, like 2 months ago. I was like, oh. So that made me, I was like, I don't know if it
should have superimposed an Oscars joke in there. They should have like dubbed over and done like some ADR.
Yeah. So yeah, the appointment won. And then we had Uchol. So the Star Wars match that they had, it was TV trivia.
Yes.
It was Sean Sullivan versus Adam Witt. I love that match. That was the best Star Wars match ever. I knew every single question, and I was
that's whatever because you knew every question, you knew every answer.
Yeah, like that one, because like there were good Rebels questions. There was technically like so in it asked who the voice of the Grand Inquisitor was, and I think it was Sullivan, who he answered Jason Isaac, and it's Jason Isaacs, but no one challenged that. Yeah, no one corrected him, and I was just like, well, I mean, I'm not going to complain, but yeah, like it was good. And then Shazam beat Corruption, so now Corruption breaks up.
I definitely thought Corruption had that match in the bag.
Yeah, Like they should have won. That 5-pointer was
The 5-pointers were not equivalent. I will say that Tony Scott, I've heard and I've answered the Tony Scott Denzel Washington question before in my life. So I knew it, but then I also thought, could it be 6? But then I was like, no, I think it's 5. So when they said 6, I was like, I think they just lost. And then it got proven out. I was like, yep.
so
That's crazy.
then like I sat there and was like, all right, well, now they're gonna have the number reveal. And I was really excited about it. Like I
Yeah.
was genuinely excited. And then Oyama comes out, and I'm just like, oh, well, if he cashes in on Shazam, they just had a match.
Yeah, that might have been a good idea, honestly.
If they if he cashes in on Mike, Mike was just really upset that so he could have done that.
Could have.
But he cashed in on Sam, which was the worst possible option.
Yeah, obviously, because Sam hasn't missed a question since he's come back.
Yeah. And he lost by KO, and I don't understand.
Yeah, he got owned in that match. Sam was just head and shoulders better than he was.
Yeah, like I honestly like I asked Rue when if he was allowed to make the decision or if it was storyline, and he was like, yeah, he was able to make the decision. It just wasn't on that day that he made the decision a few weeks before.
Mm.
It went ahead. And I was like, that because honestly, either way, it would have went. It would have been better to him and Collins to go after Shazam, or him to cash it in for either himself versus Mike or Collins versus Mike.
Yeah.
Because Collins is a good IG player. He's played in the fan leagues before. He can do that. And
or our guy against Mike.
yeah. Yeah, like anything that but like it was
rough. It really swung on the betting round question. It was just too much after that. He was already in trouble after like he mentioned it during the post match that you miss a question and you're down a point. And it already seemed insurmountable. And that's sort of how it felt. And that played out over the course of round 2 and then just was sort of sealed by round 3. And you were like, well, even if Sam doesn't get this knockout, he's still going to win this match. There's no realistic scenario where he doesn't win if he's up 8 or 8+. But then it was the knockout anyway.
So then of course here comes the free for all.
Yep.
And I knew when she came out at number 36, she was going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if Marisol was going to be in it, but if we had made predictions on the free for all, if I had known who was in it and Marisol was in it, she would have been in my top 3 of who I would have bet.
Honestly, I wish that they would do like a system where they came in based on their ranking.
Wow. I mean,
because when a player that's that good, like Sam was never going to win because he came in at number 1.
I mean, Bibbs almost won a couple years ago. He was right there.
Yeah.
I don't think that was an anomaly. And then Bibbs was hampered clearly this time, and I don't think he really wanted to be there.
Yeah, and then of course, like her coming out that late. Now I will say my favorite moment of the entire match was when Ken announced himself in.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I like that.
Do you know why? I guess this is based on when it was filmed. Why everybody had to be masked up? Do you know if anybody?
Because they can only have so many people in a certain area.
Okay,
that makes sense. California thing.
I was wondering if it was somebody had contact with somebody and they had precaution.
I don't know, but I assume with all those people.
I have no issues with it, and I'm glad they did it. It was just one of those things when you watch Friday Night Titans every week and nobody's wearing masks, and then you're like, well, everybody's masked up.
Yeah, I know Rue told me that after he got eliminated, he had to leave.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, so I don't know if he left because of personal stuff or because they were like, hey, we can only have so many people on set.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then yeah, I could not like that. Honestly, like I understand we're still in the pandemic. I can't stand the masks. Like
Oh,
it was just, it was really like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's gonna like muffle their voice, and they already said they can't have any repeats, and it's gonna cause someone to lose their cool.
it didn't though.
And it did not, and
No, they
like
everybody was very even
after like
keel
the
at this
first
whole thing.
5 minutes, I got used to it. So I was just like,
Yeah,
okay, cool, we're fine.
it gets muffled, and you're like, I want to hear exactly what people are saying, and it not ruins it, but it makes it more difficult. But it's not. It wasn't anything that made it seem untenable.
Yeah,
Um, I will tell you that if I had played in the free for all, there was
yeah,
like one round I would have went out on,
okay.
and I wouldn't have won at the end because I didn't know James Cameron directed Piranha at first. That was the only thing. But other than that, I was like, I think I had like 6 or 7 perfect rounds in there just playing along. I was like, yeah, I could have done this. But let's talk about so Sam came out for the first table was kind of insane with Sam and Bibbs and Oyama and the database who I had no clue of, but he was really good too. And then I forget who the fifth person was right off the bat. I think that person was the one who left anyway. But you know what I mean? It was a pretty good table, and then it kept escalating. I mean, Amaru was he did really well to the point where people were espousing his right to potentially be the MVP.
Oh yeah, honestly, like apparently Dan was in like for like one more round, and
He was. He scored more point. I think he scored more points too.
yeah, because
That's what Dan does.
I asked Amaru, I was like, why were you not the MVP? He was like, honestly, I didn't watch the rest of it, so I gotta watch it whenever I get home. But I don't know why I wasn't either. And he was like, Dan lasted one more round and scored like 5 more points than
Yeah.
I did.
Yes, if you go by raw stuff, but I think if you go by the spirit of what the MVP should be, he should have been the MVP. Him or the dude Travis from the FCL, who was pretty good. I was very surprised at him. Peggy got in there,
Yep.
uh, and she had the funniest moment, which was when she said the complete wrong thing from what she had on her board, and then we had to do a weird, like, no, well, that's not what you said. The gray outdoors is wrong, but the thing you have on the board, only the lonely, that's right. Get
I
everyone
know.
I don't know
Like
what to do here.
Christian was like, this has never happened before. She said
No,
the wrong thing, but she wrote the right thing.
I, Peggy's awesome, but I don't think that's the first time she's ever done that. I think I recall a situation in a fan league stuff where I think she did that at another occasion. So that's not unlikely. But I think like the last thing you heard, and maybe you don't know the movie that you're writing down, but you know the other movies, so you just get something in your head. I can understand why you would do that. Um, it's just hard to think about because it's like you're reading your board because it's right in front of your face. So there's one thing I do want to talk about
Yeah.
because I noticed it. I thought it was especially stark this time, and I don't know if you noticed it or not. Did you think that it seemed like there was a situation where they had to do more filler spots for people than ever before? Because like there should have been more competitors who were actual competitors who were in the field. I was surprised how many managers and whatnot were in this, and it didn't ruin the free for all for me, but it did create a situation where I was like, well, there's just people who are up here for chum, and that's not great. You want as many good players as you want in that to make it more attention based. And I think it sort of took away from it a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like I didn't um I didn't mind when Adam Witt came out because I had just seen a match of him actually play.
No, he's different. But like Shannon
Oh, I actually thought
and
Shannon was really
Kaiser,
good. Like Kaiser, I did not enjoy that, but I thought Shannon was funny. At least like she was
Shannon was
funny on.
funny, but yeah, I mean, I guess, but like I watch the free for all because I want to see like the best people go up and what's going to happen when push comes to shove, and you have those situations where couple people were at 4 and a couple people were at 3, and who's going to take who with them and all that stuff. But in some of those rounds, it was sort of a foregone conclusion who it was going to be. Not all the time. Sometimes there were surprises, but I was surprised they didn't have more people who were competitors, or they didn't reach out further into like the FCL maybe and grab a few other people.
Yeah,
I know that
and
probably has to do with logistics and stuff about people
I'm
being.
surprised we didn't see the Flirt and Flouse
Yeah, I mean, like,
because he's
there's
the
a lot of
FCL
people who are on.
champion.
I was surprised Peggy was there, honestly, because I didn't know about like her being part of the storyline coming up, which is
Yeah,
playing out now, right, in Titans at this
yeah.
moment. So I was surprised about that, but like, no Griffey, no, no, you know, uh, who else? Who else was not there? Who, his partner King Kai, right?
Well, I know why Griffey couldn't because he lives in New York
Yeah.
and he works as a film producer. So
Mm.
that's the reason why like they had to do the corruption thing because they couldn't make it for a number one contenders match. And apparently they filmed a lot of this like at the beginning of April. So a lot of the stuff we're going to be seeing is stuff that like they filmed like a bunch of stuff on like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
So
I
they tried to
understand.
do.
I get it. I get the logistics of it. I just thought there was way more managers and way more people who haven't played in a long time or played ever that were part of this. And I was hoping there would be more natural Schmoedown singles teams competitors that were there.
Yeah, I understand that.
But I mean, yeah, Marisol coming out at 36, of course she won. I mean,
Yeah, like
that seemed pretty obvious.
unless like I was thinking, I was like, she's gonna win unless someone comes out at 39 or 40 that's better than her, and neither.
I mean, Dan screwed up because he screwed up the Mask of the Phantasm year. But I think if he had been in that, I bet it would have went. Maybe he doesn't win, but I bet it goes into a couple rounds of sudden death. And the Paul Preston was pretty game as well. He could have been the MVP too. He was up there as well.
But yeah, so now Dan gets a number one contender match.
I think he's gonna use it in
Marisol,
IG.
dude, I would love that. Like, I know
This is gonna play into what we're gonna talk about for what's going on now and what we've already seen. But I think that would be cool. I think he should just do that.
Well, I know he said that like he was like, yeah, because now I can actually study in it and just skip the line straight to a number one contender match. And I'm like, that would be great.
Yes.
And Marisol, like, honestly, she's in a number one contenders match for the singles. So I mean, if she loses to Sam, but if she beats Sam, then her and Chance, because I assume that's going to be the team for corruption, is Chance Ellison and
That's a
her.
scary ass team.
Yep, they're going to immediately get a title shot, and that's going to be rough on Shazam.
Yeah. Shazam, that match sort of proved out that it will be hard for them to break that Patriots record.
Yeah.
But even so, I think they are. I think they are the best team now, for sure. I think the Patriots doing it when they did it, it's nowhere near the same league. Competition's way stiffer, and there's way more of it this time around than there was when the Patriots were doing it. So,
Yep, I agree. But yeah,
I mean, how many teams? I know the Patriots don't exist anymore, but like those teams who they all played died fairly quickly. And I mean, like, Above the Line died because Sam left. But like, it's sad because I think Above the Line could have been the greatest team ever, and they just never got the chance to prove it.
yep. Yeah, and then they have this weird storyline where Ben gets to choose a partner and Peggy gets to choose a partner.
But they're going to be partners later. It's the weirdest damn thing I've ever seen.
I think it's going to be a thing where like, oh, I mean, of course, like the match is probably over by now, so I
Yeah,
don't know anything out there in the Supernova
neither
universe.
do I. Let's be clear.
So, we have not watched the last part of Titans for Friday.
No, we have not, people. It's going on simultaneously to when this is being recorded. So sorry.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a thing where Ben chooses a partner that if they beat Peggy. Since he's a heel,
Yeah.
he'll just adopt his new partner and send her back to the FCL.
I assume this is a fake out.
Yeah, I assume so as well. But like, I mean, the Den just fired Saul, and then that will come up into what we're going to talk about in a few minutes.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I don't get the storyline. It's weird to me.
yeah, especially like let's talk about that. So, Saul and Amaru had a match, and
They
I
did.
wrote some notes down that
Okay, because again, for everybody out there, I had not watched the match, so what I did was I sped through it real quick to learn the result. But I actually don't know, like, I know some things happened, but I didn't listen to it. I just watched it. So I don't actually know, like, how some of the things played out exactly. So I'm hoping that Colton, you will enlighten me so that you can fill in the gaps.
yeah, so round one, it was 9-6.
Yeah, Rue missed a Hobbit question. That was it. That was the only thing he screwed up was a Hobbit question.
And there was one of the first questions. It was talking about like two characters that have the same last name, and
Yeah, in Jurassic Park 3, it's Taya Leone and William H. Macy have the same last name in that movie. What is it?
so so the question was I don't remember what the exact question was, but
It's these are their first names in Jurassic Park 3. What's their last name?
mhm. And guy was like, are they brothers and sisters, or do you think they're married? And Mark was like, well, where I'm from, they could be both. And I was like, he just made a North Carolina incest joke.
Yes.
Kind of offensive,
Yes.
also kind of accurate.
I will tell you that my wife and I are doing the first run through of Game of Thrones for us, and
Yes.
incest is pretty rampant then.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I definitely want to talk to you about that.
Okay.
About what you think. Ooh, that will give me incentive to watch the show again.
Mhm.
If you
If
want
you
to
want to do that, because I mean, there was a trailer for the prequel that just came out. But yeah.
Yeah, it comes out. The House of the Dragon comes out like a week before the new Lord of the Rings thing, and I'm just like,
Who had the first drop on that? Was it them? It was them, right? Not Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings decided to try to come into their corner and beat them at their own game.
yeah, I don't know about that because I don't
Okay.
think House of the Dragon had a release date.
Okay. So House of the Dragon is getting froggy after what happened at the end of the original show's run.
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
guess.
bold of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a good cast. Like
I don't know who's in that cast. Who's in that cast?
Matt Smith, I
Okay.
think is the major lead, and then there's a bunch of other people.
Okay. I'm gonna look that up while you talk.
But yeah, so then one of the questions was who was the first Avenger to try and lift the hammer?
Yeah.
And it was Hawkeye. But
Yeah.
I was answering my kids, and they were like Iron Man, and then my other son was like Captain America. I thought it was Hulk because I remember that scene where he goes to try and do it, and then he pretends to
Yeah, he
Hulk.
goes, no, it's I've just watched Ultron recently. I've gotten the Hawkeye question a bunch, so I know it's Hawkeye. It's Hawkeye, and then it's Tony, and then it's Tony with his gauntlet, and then it's him and Rhodey with gauntlets.
Yeah.
And then and then I think it's Bruce after that. And then they make the joke about like Natasha trying. She's like, no, that's not something I need to be answered. And then it's Cap who makes it wiggle, and then Thor picks it up. That's the order, I believe. So
Yeah, and I remember like Tony, I guess because I was younger. I mean, it was 2015, so I was like 24. But he was talking about if he takes back over, if he lifts the hammer, he's king of Asgard. He's like, I'm gonna reinstitute Prima Nocta.
Prima Nocta, yeah.
And I was like, it wasn't up until like a few years ago that I found out what that is, and that's just like
Yeah, it's
up.
pretty gross.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
it's a joke you can make because people don't know what it is, but the problem is we're in a society where we can look it up real quick. So
yeah, I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, I understand people used to do that because they were like, oh, if we get the Lord's blessing and if he gives us a child, we'll get to raise it and it will be blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, no, thank you. Nope. But, yeah, so, Saul beat Amaru and.
yeah, so Saul got what? Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Sci-fi. And he
Yeah.
did okay. But like Rue had a chance at a steal and missed it. So it happened.
Yeah, and then Rue got Marvel.
Rue got like that the universe of Marvel or whatever the fuck it's called, the worlds of Marvel. And he got some hard ass questions, right? He got like what's Sue's favorite flower in Fantastic Four 2005, which I knew, but like that's not something that people would know offhand if you haven't watched it lately. And then I forget what movie had Mark Ruffalo, Paul Bettany. I forget who the third person was, and Corey Hawkins, who's the guy who played Dr. Dre and Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, I only knew that. I knew that one was Iron Man 3 just because I knew who. The third name is the guy who plays the president.
No, they didn't say William Sadler. They said somebody else.
Oh, okay. Well, I assumed that was who played the president.
No, William Sadler plays the president in Iron Man 3. But
Okay.
I remember Corey Hawkins, he was one of the he's like one of the guys, he's a military guy, like in a booth who mentioned something. So yeah, I thought it was Ultron, but when you said Iron Man 3, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But because that's who I assumed it was. I thought it was President Ellis, and I thought it was really funny that they asked a question about President Ellis, and it was Mark Ellis.
It was Mark Ellis. Yeah.
So I just assumed that was the case, and like he has made like several appearances in like Agents of Shield and stuff. So I just assumed that was who the person was.
No, I don't remember who the other person was that they said.
Yeah, I got the answer right, but for the wrong
reasons. Sometimes that works out that way. Yeah, so Rue was what, down 1?
Yeah.
And then he missed a question about
Time Cop.
Time Cop, and they challenged. Why did they challenge?
Because it was not listed in the time travel dystopian category.
Okay.
They got, and apparently on their list, they're like, hey, just because it's not in this category doesn't mean it can't not be in this category.
What?
Because even if it's apparently there's movies that can be like in multiple categories. So you just assume that, hey, it's in this one, but it's
That's
also
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I guess because it has time in the name, they didn't think they needed to list.
Oh my gosh, no. You should definitely do that.
But apparently they list that on the document saying what movies are in which categories. They were like, hey, movies can be in multiple categories, and you just have to know that. And yeah,
I think that's not. I think that's a little. I think it should be flushed out all the way, because people sometimes try to remember things based around remembering what movies are in a category. And if you take that away from them because they have to remember that, it really does screw up your mode of thinking. So I think that should just be written out and be like, for everybody to see.
Yeah, I hate that. Like, I messaged him and he was like, yeah, it's been a bummer knowing the last month that I lost the match.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was really nice. Like, people were congratulating me the last week, and I'm just like, oh man, I let you down. I got bad news for you. And
that stinks because I think he was the better player throughout that match. He just,
and you could kind of tell it on Saul, like, was like really disgruntled the entire match, and like
Yeah.
his post match interview like was about him getting fired from the den, and he was like, Kate looked out after me for whatever, not just as a manager, but as a friend, and I let her down. So this is me winning this match, and I'm gonna beat Smets next week, and then I'm gonna beat Kalinowski, and I hope that I've redeemed myself to her. And I'm like, oh, that's so sad, but also I don't think he's like I
He's not
don't
going to beat Smets. And if he beats Smets by some, I don't want to say grace of God, but by some luck, he's not beating Mike.
no, he's not.
Again, Rue was, I think, the better player in that match. Just some weird questions he got.
Yeah. Like I wonder, like I really want to see Rue versus Smets.
Yeah, I wanted to see that. I'm really bummed that we don't get to see that.
At least not yet. So
Not yet. He'll get, well, I don't know. Will he get another shot this year?
I mean, I'm sure he once tournament season comes around.
Man, that's a long time to wait.
Yeah.
He has to make another trip out there.
Yeah.
It stinks. I feel bad for him. Is the point.
Yeah.
I think he should have won. I think he should have won that match. And I mean that by like, I think the results should have just been that he won the match.
Yeah. Yeah, that was rough. I don't know.
He'll be back. He'll be fine. His
Yeah.
numbers are good. He's only lost to Mike by a chicanerous question. And he lost to Saul because of some chicanery about categorization. So you know what? He'll be fine. I believe in him. Even though he did call me out to do debating.
Yes. And that's also like a thing where like, yeah, he did great in the free for all. Like they were like Christian has said his praises about Amaru because he was an IG player that did really well.
But we've seen him play in fan league stuff where he's played. I've played against him in regular movie trivia stuff, and I know he's decent.
But I know he like whenever he auditioned as an IG guy. So I wonder if that's a thing where they had no idea.
Well, they should do more homework.
Yeah.
It's all over the internet. You can very easily find it.
Yep.
It's not the most popular stuff, but I'm saying that you can go and you can see it, that Rue has clout.
Yep. But yeah, like I'm trying to think, is there anything else trivia related?
So as we said, do you want to talk about our predictions? I mean, we both predicted Rue would win, so we lost that one.
Yep.
I think we both predicted Ben's team would beat Peggy's team.
Yep.
And then what was the other one? The other Star Wars one, right?
Yeah.
Zach.
Yeah, we both chose Zach Burkett over. Yeah.
Full disclosure, I have no idea who those two people were.
Okay. I know who Zach Burkett is.
His name sounded familiar. I feel I've seen it somewhere before, but I have no idea. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. I'll tell you that.
In the let's see, Ross Arsenal, he played one match last year because when Thomas won the championship, he played for the Den in the Star Wars tournament, and he lost. So, but yeah, I chose Zach. Yeah, that's pretty much all.
So you're not making up any ground on me. This should be the time that I just, copy all of your predictions. So there's no way.
I know. That's what I'm thinking is now that you're winning, I should wait and send you the predictions first and make you pick them.
Yeah, you probably should.
And then
you can do it that way if you want.
Okay.
That's fine. I think I've proven out that my ability to guess is top notch. By the way, you were talking about that Matt Smith is in this House of the Dragon show. But Patty Considine, who's in all the Cornetto trilogy movies, he's in it. Olivia Cook, who was in Ready Player One and Sound of Metal, she's in it. The lizard himself, Rhys Ifans, he's in it. Fucking Dwalin, man, he's in it. So there's people in this show.
Okay, so for the movie the movie trivia report, we've got our new segment on the show, Ask a Contender.
Oh, that's right. I forgot we were doing this.
Yeah, I wrote one for you for Star Wars last week, and then
Yes.
you went on the show, and so I deleted it.
Gotcha.
All right, so this is going to be kind of like this question's going to be like an Ansel question for their filmography.
Great.
What actress has been in a DC movie, a Marvel movie, and a Wizarding World movie?
A DC. This is regular DC, regular Marvel, not DCU and.
That is correct.
Okay. And a Wizarding World one, you said.
Yes. Actress.
Zoe Kravitz.
That is correct.
Yeah, because she's the voice of Catwoman in. Well, I mean, she's in the Batman now, but she's the voice of Catwoman in Lego Batman movie.
Yeah, I was just thinking of her being Catwoman in the Batman.
Yeah. And then I forget what Marvel movie is she in?
She's in X-Men First Class.
That's fucking right. She's Angel. She's Angel.
Yeah. Which is so weird that she goes by the name Angel, but there's a dude.
Yeah, I guess Stanley and the boys, whomever, ran out of names.
Yeah.
We're thinking about this.
But yeah. And then of course, she's
Lethal Strange. Yeah.
She gets blown up. Have you seen
Secret Dumbledore? No, I have not.
Okay.
I might go see it at some point.
Or wait the 45 days till it's on HBO Max.
Might have to, because I think I'm past it now. That we've got to the movie that we're going to talk spoilers about, and and
it's not going to make any more money. And I don't know. I like me and Rue talked about it. I was like, I want to see the next two, but just release them as books, man. Like,
release them as audio tapes.
Like it's so much. But all right, so
yeah, I did it. 1-0.
1-0. Woo.
I was gonna ask you how much time I got.
Oh, man, I should have thought about that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I got it pretty quick anyway. Doesn't matter. Honestly, when you said that, I was like, what person from the Harry Potter movies? And I was like, it's probably a Fantastic Beasts person, and then it kicked on for me.
Yep. So I got to remember to ask you a new question for next week.
Okay.
That's going to be like a weekly thing if I remember it.
Well, everyone in the world, if you want to know, I am the ultimate contender. And by that, I mean, I can get to contender matches and championship matches and lose. That's why it's called Ask a Contender as opposed to Ask a Champion. If you didn't know.
Oh, so, okay, there we go. So, you know how typically at the beginning of the show, I share all my stuff? I shared it to my Facebook and then didn't do anything beyond that because we were talking.
Yeah.
So, it's fine. It will go on Twitter.
It'll get to where it needs to go.
All right, Moon Knight episode 5 and 6.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So, how do you feel about the show as a whole? And also, how do you feel about these two episodes?
I think it's my favorite Marvel show. It's close with WandaVision, but I think it's my favorite one. And it's mostly off the back of Oscar Isaac more than anything. And it's because it's teaching me about a new character that I had no concept of, as opposed to all these other ones. So it's nice, refreshing pocket thing as opposed to everything else we had got, which had deeper connections to everything in every other place. Episode 5's the best by far, and I don't even think it's that close. Asylum, that's the episode, and everybody who did reviews of that episode, Asylum, it was Oscar Isaac's coming out as this is the episode when they submit for limited series and submit him to get an Emmy. It's from that episode that they will make the clip, because he is so, it's so heartbreaking to watch him through two different characters' eyes, through a character who knows about all the painful memories, and then another one who's him still as a different character, but him learning because this all got repressed because he was unaware of it. It's so gut-wrenching. It's such an interesting concept to go through the minds of two different people. That's really just one mind. They share one body, but through different experiences, getting to unveil this to Steven, who Steven was just a happy-go-lucky person who kind of got thrown into this midst, knowing that something was wrong, and then unraveling what it was that was wrong, and then getting stuck as being the alternate when everybody assumed he was the primary identity because he's the first one that we saw, and then coming to grips with the fact that he wasn't. He was a manifestation, which sort of played out because of, as we were going through the memories, he's being called Mark and not Steven. And every scene after his brother dies with his mom is just painful. It's the most painful MCU to me. Interestingly enough, in a universe where everybody is marked by having terrible parental relationships, it's the worst parental relationship there is. It's crazy that we were able to get that, because while we've known people to be distant, alcoholic, verbally abusive, putting the physical abuse on top of that and blaming someone for someone's death and never letting it go. I mean, one of the most heartbreaking things is when he has a party and she doesn't show up to the party. I can't imagine a situation where you live in the same house as a parent and they don't come to celebrate your birthday because they hate you. That's ridiculous. And then that all culminates with when he goes to the Shiva, the sitting Shiva, and he doesn't go in and he collapses in the street. And that's where the lines between Mark and Steven are blurred. And then we get to the end when they're fighting off the demons to put them in the Duat, and Steven finds his version of Mark in himself. And then he gets lost in the sand, and Mark gets to go to paradise, and you're like, oh my God, Steven's gone forever. And he was just sort of becoming the whole version of himself. That episode it's the best episode of Marvel TV. And I don't think it's close, honestly. And then episode 6 is unfortunately was kind of standard boilerplate Marvel TV stuff. There's some cool stuff, cool visuals. I like the sight gag. It's especially great when they switch back and forth between Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. But I noticed, and my wife told me it was a good call, when they switch between them, they have different hairstyles as well, which is very interesting. I like that sight gag. There was a sky beam, basically. It kind of reminded me of an episode of Power Rangers because there were two huge animalistic type things fighting each other. It's kind of like watching Zords fight each other, and Power Rangers where you got people on the ground too. Yeah, I mean, that 6th episode, it's definitely not the worst last episode of a Marvel show, but it left me wanting for more. I do like this concept that, reality is sort of anything that we perceive it to be. And you can even forego what is the natural reality to live in your own if you believe in it strong enough. And then the best part of that episode is the end, is the end credit stinger, letting us know that Harrow's probably dead, right? He's dead.
And so is what's her name? Amit?
Amit, yeah.
Yeah.
She's dead too, but he's dead. He gets picked up by Khonshu, and then we find out who the third personality was, which again blurred a little bit more in this one because he had that weird accent in The Office. But now we know it's Jake Lockley, which is why my thing is, who is Jake Lockley? And they fucking, I guess they double murder him. I don't really know how that works. But they double murder Harrow, it seems. And now we have no idea what this means. There's a lot of things about how they had the tweet before the episode that it was going to be the series finale, and then they erased it and they put season finale. And, everybody's saying that there's not a plan for a season 2. But Oscar Isaac would do more of that. So I'm wondering if he's just going to show up in random stuff now. But that concept of the end where Khonshu can play with Mark/Steven because they have this third personality and maybe more. And now we don't know who the alternate personality is going to be, but he can still be Moon Knight. It's a great way to move on from the primary storyline. So episode 5, amazing. Episode 6, it was fine, but the end part was good for making me want more Moon Knight. That's my thought process. So I turned it over to you.
Yeah, I do think it was weird that as Ethan Hawke, like it seemed like he was afraid of the other gods in earlier episodes, but whenever he goes in there by himself with this, like he rips through all the other avatars.
Thank you.
Thank you. Like, oh, these 2 can take him out, even though he just took out 6.
Thank you for bringing that up, because you're right. When he came in, he was he was playing a part, but he was very meek. And I'm like, aren't these the Aeneid, right? Or whatever it's called? Aren't these like the mega gods? These are like the powerful gods. And he threw them like toilet paper. So I was like, what's Khonshu gonna do? Honestly, like he's like a lesser god, isn't he?
And like one of them was Horus and the one was Osiris.
Yeah, I'm like, they're supposed to wreck shop. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, and he wrecked shop on their avatars. And
I know. There was also another thing that sort of bothered me. I don't know if it bothered you. I thought it would be harder to break into Shopti.
Yeah.
Like somebody, I don't know if they have cleaning ladies in a Great Pyramid or whatever, but like, what if a cleaning lady just went and knocked Khonshu's Shopti over and broke it, and then he's released? Seems like there's a large margin of error of things that could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
What do you think about the show, and what did you think about these 2 episodes?
Episode 5, like you said, like she's the worst mother ever.
I know, it's crazy. Again, we've had lots of bad mothers and fathers, but she's the worst parent.
Yes. Because like, yeah, I don't even know what that's all about. But I mean, like, but that like trope happens a lot in TV. Is, oh, the older brother is the reason why the younger brother's dead, and the parents like exile the older brother.
But they usually in those situations they like send them away, or they just don't like talk to them. This one, they're like just physically and emotionally there's a barrage of just like pain coming on them all the time. It's crazy. That's a little different than what I'm used to.
Yeah, it's like I assume that he will show up in other things. Like I don't remember what the team is. That it's Kit Harington's character, the Black Knight. It's Blade, and it's Moon Knight. They all have like a dark team.
Oh, that's dope. I'd be all for that.
It's like the Midnight something or another.
Midnight Boys.
I mean, it could totally be that. Like, I know it's Midnight something, but
okay.
But yeah, it's something like that. So I could totally see him like, you've seen Eternals, right?
Yeah, I've watched it a couple times at this point.
Okay, so like the end credit scene is Blade showing up and be like, "Yo, you might not want to touch that sword."
Yeah, I think what does he say? It's not the time for that, Mr. Whatever his name is.
Yeah, Mr. Whitman.
Mr. Whitman, thank you.
Yep. And like, so I could totally see like the 3 of them pounding around, like taking out all the evil people. And like in the comics, Mark Spector is the main personality, but he adopts the other 2 personalities. They're not like, he adopts the Jake Lockley personality, so you can drive a cab and like hear about stuff on the road and like be like, oh, that jewelry store has been broken into. All right, let's Moon Knight up and go take care of that. So he can be conspicuous. But I kind of like that they all three have their own little thing,
Yeah.
and that's good.
Yeah, that's really good. I assume because there were reports that there were supposed to be two major MCU crossovers in the first episode and the last episode, and they nixed both of them. But there was speculation one of them was Hulk because Mark Ruffalo and Oscar Isaac were filming, or like were in the same place where filming was happening. And then Blade was the other one. I honestly, dude, I'm ready to just see Mahershala Ali on screen as Blade. I'm kind of sick of the teases. I just want it now. Like just give us a. I want to see him in a physical form as Blade. I've seen the picture 800 times, and yeah, they say they do the voiceover. But I want to see Mahershala Ali as freaking Blade, man. I'm done with this.
Yep, I agree.
I'm trying to look up what you're talking about. For some reason, I cannot find the name of this cool thing that you mentioned. This cool team.
Yeah, I heard about it today because I was watching something with Robert Meyer Burnett, and he brought it up about how a lot of like the darker anti-heroes were in a group together.
This says Blade and Black Knight were both members of MI13, which was the UK paranormal agency led by Captain Britain.
Yeah.
So that's a thing.
Yeah, and they do reference Captain Britain in Endgame.
Yes. I do remember that.
Yeah, because like he's like, Peggy's like, yeah, Captain Brannock, which is what Captain Britain's actual real first or last name is.
Ryan Braddock, yeah, is the name they have there. Yeah, so
it's possible they introduced that, but yeah, like I still don't think it's better than WandaVision, but it's right up there. Like it passed all the others way. It's like 1 and 2, and then all the rest.
That's fair. I think WandaVision's last episode is more egregiously MCU boilerplate than this one was. So I kind of like this one more, and that's why I put it above WandaVision.
Yeah.
I hate the last episode of WandaVision.
Yeah, because it's like, it has a sky beam, and there's
the fight between her and Agatha Harkness is bad. Like,
and then the boner joke.
Yeah, I freaking hate that episode. The best thing about that is the ship, the Perseus ship or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, the ship of Theseus.
Ship of Theseus. That's the best part. Is that, and that's a goddamn philosophical question that has nothing to do with anything MCU related.
Honestly, I mean, we'll talk about something in just a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the show. Like, I kind of hate that there's not going to be a second season. But I mean,
you never know. I mean, if they put enough money through, across Oscar Isaac's,
right? But I think they would have to call it something else.
Yeah,
because to be nominated for those Emmys, it has to be a limited series.
Yeah, I know.
So
it's so silly it's just because we have to name something so it can get recognition.
Yep. So
it's unfortunate he's not going to win. The show's not going to win, and he's not going to win. Unfortunately,
I was going to say I think he's going to win. Like,
I don't think he would. I think if Elizabeth Olsen couldn't win, he's not going to win.
I think because he plays like 3 different people, and like if someone told me that he was identical triplets now, I would believe it. I would absolutely believe it.
They did a good job with his brother being the stand-in and it being very natural, the transition between the personalities talking, even when they're separate entities.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I wish it had ended. I wish it left me wanting with the ending. I wanted it to be more. I wanted to ask more questions than it answered, but it didn't do that. And like I said, it sort of reverted. They had to do the normal Marvel stuff of a fight with the big boss and all that stuff, but some of the CGI was a little meh, and you know,
And I
I
do
did
think
like
it's
I did like the Layla's suit. That was cool.
yeah. It was very like now I feel sorry for Falcon because he's not special anymore.
No, not in the least. I hope when they do Captain America 4 that his suit's better.
Yeah.
I hope they make it a cooler color or whatever. Sorry, Sam, but your suit is kind of silly.
Yeah, like as a thing where like you would want to like, you know, hide yourself when you're going on stuff, a big white suit.
That's what I mean. Like Captain America's is more star spangly, but then it gets more modernized and more available to be camouflaged. And I like the Winter Soldier suit. It's great. I like it. I like that version of it.
Yeah, and then of course like there's they raised the dilemma in this episode of do you let people make the mistakes that they're already going to make
Yeah.
or do you go ahead and take care of that now and then save lives? And I'm just like, that's like an ethical dilemma that like no one can actually make.
No, it's the tree in the forest. No one's around to hear it. It's one of those things that you don't really have a good answer for. But the main response should be when you do the pre when you prevenge as opposed to avenge, you take away people's choice
Yeah,
and the possibility that things could be different.
it's kind of like how I mean, this is like one of those conundrums like the Thanos thing
Yeah,
where was he
almost
right to
he
leave
he
half
was kind of right.
yeah, like was because like if you just doubled the resources, like several people have said that, like the powerful people are going to get the resources just like they do now. Like unless he like goes and becomes a dictator of the entire universe and is like, no, we'll equally distribute this, and every time we start running out, I'll snap my finger again and make more.
Yeah.
Unless he does that, it's not going to work because the corrupt, powerful people, but also like I know people have said he's like, what happens when the population increases back to what it was? Is he going to have to snap his finger again and kill half of all life in the universe?
Well,
Like,
I mean, he could do the thing where he takes half the people and puts them in a pocket universe that's exactly the same, just with half the people, but they're not dead. They're just in a
yeah,
in a
and
different place.
And then there, of course, is the thing of like now we know he was a eternal, so he knows about the Celestials trying to emerge from planets. So him killing half of life in the universe is actually saving and saving people,
It's
but
a big
also stopping people from being created.
yes, it's a weird six and one half dozen of the other. Like
Yeah.
he was helping, but he was hurting. But his hurting was helping. His helping was hurting as well.
Yep. But all right. Hey, you out there,
Oh man.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It just came out.
In
Talk about it.
Everybody remember when you're answering trivia questions, it's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
that's gonna trip somebody up. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
The movie was. What did you think about it?
I liked it.
Okay, so I also liked it. There
It's
were
not the greatest thing I've ever seen.
no,
It also left me wanting for more because I was promised lots of things, or there's a lot of anticipation of a lot of things, and we got a couple things that were really cool.
I will say like I will not let like we talked about it a few weeks ago that someone mentioned that like hey, there are kids born now that are going to be able to watch the entire MCU all together. or at least the first 4 phases, and I started to cry because I thought about my son. I will not let Ezra watch this when he gets old enough. Like,
Really?
he's gonna have to at least be like, I was thinking about, oh, around 5 or 6, I'll introduce him to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There are horror moments in this that I'm just like, nope, nope.
That's when the movie's at its best, though.
I agree, but I definitely don't think it's like I, every movie up until now has been very family friendly, and this one I really
Sam
like.
Raimi doesn't give a crap about family stuff, man. He's Sam Raimi.
I agree, but it's the weirdest. It's weird, and I like it. I do think I know.
It's weird, but it's also kind of lame.
Yeah, I think this is my least favorite Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell's not really like he's not used to his utmost in this.
Honestly, I kind of hate that. Like, he posted on his Instagram a few weeks ago, him and Doctor Strange makeup.
Yeah,
So I thought he was going to be a Doctor Strange variant, and I thought that was going to be really cool.
that would be cool.
And then I did not like the fact that he punched himself, and then that was the end credit scene of him being like, oh, "It's over." I'm like,
I thought it was cute, but it was along the lines of you know, the Captain America preaching patience. Sometimes you wait for a long time
yeah,
for things to happen, they don't happen. That's how I took it.
yeah. As a person who, like, whenever I saw um, Spider-Man: Homecoming in 2017, I didn't have kids. Now I'm sitting over here. I'm like, I've had to hold. They've had to, not pee, and I have not had to pee this entire movie because I can't just get up and leave my children in the movie theater.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here. I'm like, okay, well, I know there's 2 end credit scenes, or there's a mid credit scene and an end credit scene. So I wait all that time for no reason, really.
I mean, the mid-credit scene has ramifications. I just don't
Yeah.
know what they are because I mean, now I know the name of Charlize Theron's character, but I don't know what she means for anything because I'm not a comic person.
Yeah. I
To
have
me,
no
she looked
idea.
like Psylocke, honestly.
Yeah,
I was
and
like, is she Psylocke? This doesn't make sense. And I was like, no, okay, so she's somebody named Clea. Good. I don't know who that is.
yeah, like, all right, let's start at the beginning.
Let's start at the beginning, yes.
There's a Doctor Strange and America Chavez,
With
and
a
they're
ponytail.
yep,
Important.
and
He's fighting like a Kelpie. That's the only way I can describe the monster. It reminded me of a Kelpie.
but yeah, they almost get the book, and then
Yes, the Book of Ashanti, which is so I remember reading some reviews where they said this is like one of those movies you definitely have had prior experience with MCU stuff. And in this case, the shows. Because there's a lot of what if in this movie.
yes,
But that's from all this is from the Doctor Strange episode of What If. There's a lot of
yeah,
it.
like I was sitting here watching this, and yeah, like she goes, and um, the dead Doctor Strange comes with her, and
Yep.
then she escapes, and then
He
like
wakes up.
I feel really really bad about Steven not getting to be with Christine.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a fun part where Michael Stuhlbarge comes in as Dr. Nick West, who we haven't seen in 6 years.
Yep.
And he talks about his cats. He's like, I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, I was busy spending the last 5 years as dust, and they have a nice exchange. It's like, you didn't ask me. By the way, what happened to me? Thanks for asking, by the way. I lost 2 cats. And it's like, then I lost my brother. And then you're like, there wasn't any way to do. So that was an interesting dynamic that people know that Doctor Strange made this ultimate call for how Endgame ended up. People
Yep.
know this. Somebody reported it somewhere, which just boggles my mind that people would know this.
Yeah, like that's the next like we see Wanda in a little bit, and she's talking to him about, hey, it was fine when you gave up the time stone, but it wasn't fine when I did this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I understand that he saw all the outcomes,
Yes.
but like honestly, he didn't because now we know the multiverse is a thing. So he only
Yeah,
saw.
he only saw the outcomes within his own universe, but that doesn't apply to the infinite amount of other options that could have happened in the multiverse.
Yeah, and like this movie was like
It's
Wanda
bonker
being
it's a
a,
bonkers movie, but it's also kind of a lame movie, as I said. The dialogue's kinda not good in this movie.
like
Um,
I loved Wanda as the villain,
she
and
so that's a great thing. So let's back up. Goes
yeah,
to the wedding, right?
and honestly, I saw that scene in the trailer, and I thought he was gonna marry her. And I was
I
like,
didn't think that. I thought when the guy comes behind her, I'm like, "So he's not marrying her." That's interesting.
well, because like in the way they cut the trailer, she looks, and then it's just him, and I'm just like, oh, that's a sweet moment. And I'm like, oh, poor Steven.
But there's a thing at the wedding. So Nick West mentions that he doesn't get the girl despite being the best surgeon and the best, most powerful superhero. And then they have a thing at the reception where, and this is the common theme, asking about his happiness. Are you happy? I just want you to be happy. Are you happy? Of course I'm happy. I'm freaking Doctor Strange for God's sake. For God's sake. And then that leads to the first fight, which is all over the trailers, which is America Chavez trying to get captured by an octopus. I watched a review of this, a non-spoiler review, and they're like, there's some really Sam Raimi moments in it. And one of them is when a certain hero flies in to be the hero, and it's very reminiscent of like when Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man
Yeah,
would just like jump out like he's jumping out of a comic book to go fight. And that's exactly what fucking Doctor Strange does when he just hops over a goddamn railing. It's like, I'm Doctor Strange, let's go. So then yeah, so we get to the fight, which is a pretty common fight. Uh and they take he stabs he stabs this octopus in the eye with the bottom of a light post and pulls the eye out,
yeah,
which is pretty freaking scary. Uh,
yeah,
and then yeah, so then I'll hand it off to you. Then we go from there.
yeah. And then uh, they go to the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he's like, well, what do we need to do? Because he's talking to Wong, and he's like, you know anyone about who knows anything about ancient runes?
Yeah.
Like, I think I have someone in mind.
Also important, they talked about Spider-Man. So
Yeah, and they
Doctor
didn't.
Strange remembers that he did something for Spider-Man multiverse related, but I guess he doesn't remember Peter Parker.
Yes, which I liked.
Yes. They also had the joke about him shooting webs out of his butt, which is great. I
Yep.
bet he can shoot webs out of his butt. He just doesn't try it.
Well, I wonder. I bet Toby's could shoot webs out.
He definitely could.
But
Sorry, you're right. Sorry, Toby could. Tom Holland would need a specialized suit that had a hole and all that stuff. Anyway, the point is that was a good joke. I like that. That's a good thing to talk about. But yes, then continue.
yeah, so then he arrives at her little farm place, and it
Yes.
looks really nice.
Pulled from WandaVision. And
Yep.
just everybody knows this was written by the guy who wrote WandaVision, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I will say, like, this is a show that you really need to watch WandaVision, or
Or
this one.
no, sorry. The guy who wrote Loki wrote this one, I think, is what it was.
Yeah, like, yeah, you need to have watched WandaVision to understand what's going on.
You really do. That and What If. You have to watch both of them.
Yep.
And watching Loki wouldn't hurt either because they talk about multiverse stuff. Like,
Yeah, like that's one of those things where like we'll talk about Loki in a little bit. Um, but yeah, so yeah, she's totally like yeah,
I got bad vibes when he
almost
showed up.
immediate.
I got bad vibes almost immediately. And then she said America, and I was like, wait, he didn't say that. How
Yeah,
did you know
and
that?
yeah, even he and she's like, you didn't tell me your name,
Yeah.
and and she's like, I'm gonna come for her. You better give her to me peacefully, or it's gonna be bad.
I'm
And
trying to
it's
get
like,
my and they have the conversation about Westview, and we're not here for that. But then she talks about the children, and he keeps trying to hammer home that she doesn't have children. And there was a good line about like you just made them with magic. It's like that's what all mothers do, which I thought was a good line. I thought that was a good one. Yeah. So then we prepare for an assault at Camertage.
and she wrecks shop.
So that's really I like him going out to try to negotiate with her. I like Wong saying like mind your words, because this could affect the entirety of the fate of the multiverse. He's like, no pressure then, right? So he goes up. They try to have the same conversation. I like this. Like, she's like, this is me being reasonable, and I've been patient. And he's like, well, you set conjured monsters and demons to go after this girl to take her power. And she's like, no, that was me being reasonable. And it's like, but you've exhausted my patience, so I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, and then
It wrecks this place.
yeah, she absolutely wrecks this place.
She
And
kills
then,
so many people.
and then she gets trapped in the mirror dimension.
Yep. She also does a cool thing where she's looking because there's a big shield around Camertage. She's trying to get into the mines. And Wong's like, the Wong thing is weird because it's supposed to be serious, but him like yelling out orders is hilarious for some reason. It's like, make sure to fortify your mines. And she gets one person, and you see like a similar Age of Ultron thing where she appears and she just goes, run. And he runs and breaks the shield, and then that's when everything goes to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, so she gets trapped in the mirror dimension, and she's over here doing she's crawling through like the puddles and stuff. And man, there's that scene where like they back up to the mirror and she like emerges from the mirror.
Oh,
That was
it's
terrifying.
so there's a lot of Evil Dead in that scene when like the cameras, when it goes like slanted and the doors shut, and then these things like pulling out. It's very Evil Dead related. So there's a lot of Sam Raimi in this movie.
And then so Steven and America Chavez get sucked through some portals.
Yes, her power, she can't control her power to go through the multiverse, but it manifests when she's very frightened. So she's about to take the power, and then she opens a portal, and Steven flies through, and while Wong gets left behind, unfortunately.
Yeah, and like they go through so many.
Oh, it's so cool. The one where they're paint.
Or the one where they become a cartoon is so cool.
Yeah. I tried to like focus in to see if there's anything I recognized, and I couldn't do it. It was too much.
Yeah, and then they show up in this like futuristic world.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like he's like, well, I gotta go find the other me, but the other you is dead. The other me.
The other me, yes.
And then she starts using the Darkhold to apparently send her spirit.
Yeah, they do this thing called like dream walking, I think is what they called it.
Yep.
Because dreams are not dreams. Dreams are visions of us in our alternate realities.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. There's a lot about the Darkhold in this, which is
yes. Which I think is weird because like I was thinking about that during the movie. I was like, I don't ever dream about real life stuff. So what
I do. I absolutely do. I've had press KVU or whatever. I feel like I've predicted stuff in my dreams.
Yeah, like I don't.
Shit.
It's always me like running around with dragons or being in Star Wars, doing stuff like my life is way too realistic.
Do you know there's not realities where those things exist?
I mean, that's great. That would be great. I would love it. But yeah, like sometimes I will have dreams where I'm like doing my taxes and stuff, and I will wake up mad at myself. I'm like,
why didn't I have a cooler dream?
I know, like, yeah, like,
I understand.
But yeah,
they find out that they do have a cool scene. They meet Bruce Campbell, obviously, which is a throwaway gag, but they have an interesting scene where you can like stand on these panels and they examine you and show your memories as like a movie. And we see where Christine gives him the watch, and we see America's first foray into creating portals, and she sucked her mother's into an alternate dimension. We don't know where that is, but she assumes they're dead, but he tries to tell her that they're alive. And we find out that the Steven in this universe is also dead, with a large statue in front of the Sanctorum indicating that he gave his life in the fight against Thanos.
And yeah, and then he walks up and it's Baron Mordo. And
So I
I
knew that. I
thought,
was like, so who's the Sorcerer Supreme? I'm like, is it Mordo? Oh
yeah,
yeah.
and like he hugs him and stuff, and I'm just like, I thought this Mordo was gonna be like when I saw the trailers, I thought it was gonna be our Mordo.
Yeah, by the way, can we get our Mordo back, please?
Yeah, because he's off,
He's
trying to.
taking magic from freaking sorcerers, and I want to know what that's like.
I know, and he's like, at the end of Doctor Strange, he's like, too many sorcerers.
And then
And I'm like,
he
we
crippled Benjamin Bratt again.
he's like, we go to Carmitage in this movie, and there's like a million of them.
I know, he could just be going in, like sneaking in through the back door with it, and Wanda's doing an assault and just taking all the magic he wants.
Yep, but so yeah. Also, there's like a a green bull man magic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So they have like a person. They have an anthropomorphic like bull.
Yeah,
who's a wizard.
and I'm just like, man, that guy can't even leave the place because at least all the other sorcerers, they look like regular people. That guy is
stands
like
out, unfortunately.
he has to just chill out, and
It would have been better if he was like a yak or something.
Yeah,
would have been better for him.
I guess he could have he could sling ring to like a cow field and then just like get naked and just walk around.
Yes.
And look, and they'd just be like, "What's up with the green cow?" And then if someone comes to bother him, he just stops that. But yeah, so I kind of feel sorry for that guy. But yeah, they talk about the
Darkhold, and they talk about dream walking, which is where we get the first notice of that. And she tries to inhabit the Wanda who has speed and Wiccan in this universe. But in the course of that, while that's happening, the person who was the person in charge of like the students who didn't die destroys the Darkhold, the book. And she gets upset and she's going to murder everybody except Wong because he knows stuff, which they have a funny joke earlier in the movie about like Wong being they have a couple funny jokes about Wong being the Sorcerer Supreme, about how Doctor Strange doesn't bow to him even though it's customary and everybody else does it. And then like there's a super secret book or super secret knowledge of things that Sorcerer Supreme knows that only he knows. But Steven wouldn't know that because he's not the Sorcerer Supreme. So I like Wong digging at him. That's the best Wong stuff in this movie, is Wong just digging at Doctor Strange about how he's not the Sorcerer Supreme. But they find out that the Darkhold is not a book; that's a copy, and it's based on a temple.
Yeah. So one thing that's always been weird for me is, like, we didn't know at this point when Shang-Chi came out that Wong was the Sorcerer Supreme. So it's so weird that as Sorcerer Supreme, he goes to dueling rings and fights Abomination.
It's a really, I don't know how they rectify that going forward. It's a very strange.
Like
it's almost like he's a variant of Wong at this point, and maybe we'll find out that Wong was. Who knows?
Yep. I mean, even if he's just like, "Hey, dude, let's go make some money," because like I know in Infinity War, he has like no money because he's trying to borrow money from. He has
was he like a 200 rupees or is like 100 rupees? Like what is that? Like $2?
Yeah. And so maybe that's what he's got to do. He's like, "Ooh, I'll just use my magic to make some side cash."
Worst things you could do.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the same thing about like Captain America and Winter Soldier, how he might not want to be a soldier anymore. Like, what am I going to do? And Sam's like, ultimate fighting. It's just the first great idea off the top of my head. You're like, yeah.
Which technically, like Captain America, like the fact that he was in the ice for 70 years, whenever he came back, he should have got all that back pay. So he should not be worried about money.
It's true. Yeah, it's like Fry and Futurama.
Yeah,
For 1,000 years. His money all he became like a billionaire because his money got gained a whole bunch of interest.
yeah. But yeah, so yeah, then
So Wong takes Wanda to the I couldn't hear what they said. What was it like Wonderhold? It was weird. This is where I need subtitles and watching movies in the theater. Hurts me. But they take him to like it seemed like Everest basically, but it was like a huge temple on Everest, and we find out that there's like demons there, and they're waiting for the Scarlet Witch because it's not a tomb, as she says, it's a throne.
yeah,
And this is where all the runes from the Darkhold. This is where the original Darkhold magic is. So she uses that to dreamwalk again back into the universe where America and Steven are now captive because Baron Mordo drugged their tea, and they're there for testing with Christine. This version of Christine is
which
working at the Sanctum or whatever with the, as we now find out, the Illuminati.
yeah. When she said the Baxter Foundation, I was
Oh
like,
my god! I was like, yeah, Baxter Foundation, let's go.
yeah, and they're like, well, we got to make sure that you don't have any diseases that we don't have. I'm like, that is exactly right. If one of us got pulled into another universe, they'd be like, yeah, we got to examine you because we don't know what this
There
COVID
could have been a
is.
situation where Germany or whatever had the nuclear bomb and dropped it on the U.S. and everybody has terrible radiation sickness for generations. We don't know.
Yeah. Hey, that's my canon is that someone came in from an alternate universe and we didn't press screen them, and that's the reason why we've been dealing with this crap for the last 2 years.
Mm,
Yeah, so that's they weren't they weren't smart like the Baxter Foundation.
no,
But yeah, and then he gets taken into the Illuminati and we see
Captain Carter,
yep, Captain
Black Bolt,
yep,
uh, Captain Marvel, which in this case is
uh,
Marie Rambeau.
yep,
Marie Rambeau. And
John
then and
Krasinski.
and then the best thing, which is John Krasinski showing up, is I know everybody was expecting it, but just to see it in real life, I was like, oh man.
Like, do you think it's coincidental? Like, I know a lot of people have said that if he showed up in this movie as Reed Richards, it's because and you know, John Watts dropped out of Fantastic Four. Like, I really do wonder if they were like, "Hey, John Krasinski, we want you to do this," and
And
he was like,
directed.
"I want to direct it,"
Yeah.
and I'm very excited. Like,
He did a good job. I believed him to be a smart person.
yes,
I
and
will say I wish there was more Mr. Fantastic stretching things, but
then of course there was Mordo, and then here comes him on his golden chair.
playing the X-Men 90s theme song, which
Yep,
was awesome.
and I want to know what went down in that universe. Besides the fact that like we know how the battle with Thanos went.
Yeah, so um basically Dr. Xavier does a Vulcan mind meld with Steven to show him what happened, and that Black Bolt fucking disintegrated him with his voice because Steven was using the Darkhold, and he used that, I guess, with the Book of Vishanti to figure out how to get. I guess he used both. He used the Darkhold to try to learn some stuff, but they used the Book of Vishanti to defeat Thanos. But Steven was still continuing to use the Darkhold for dreamwalking, and people were concerned about the sanctity of the safety of the multiverse, so they had to kill him.
Yeah,
And then they played out and made the statue to make it seem like he was a hero, even though behind the scenes he was messing stuff up.
yeah, and this is one of those moments where I'm like, I like the multiverse, but man, the way that like Loki made it seem like they were all it's one timeline. So I'm like trying to figure out at the end of Loki when all the timelines exploded, did that create all these universes? I assume so.
I assume that will be, well, no, because like Kang didn't. No, because Kang came from multiple realities prior to him destroying the timeline.
Right.
Yeah.
But then he made the one timeline, and then at the end of Loki, when uh, Sylvie kills him, it branches off into multiple timelines. Because if the TVA is still a thing, they should be keeping the one consistent timeline, not allowing all
You would
these
think.
variants. But I don't know. Like,
But the TVA is gone. They killed Kang and they killed all the robots, uh, the robot elders. So there really isn't a TVA. I guess there kind of is, but there isn't in the primary timeline or whatever.
yeah, it's interesting. Like, I want to see that version of the battle with Thanos
It
because,
looked cool. They looked like they were on Titan, honestly.
yeah, like I'm like over here, like, what in the world did Professor X do? Like,
Oh,
besides
yes.
exactly, because
I
if
mean, I thought he was gonna shut down Wanda, honestly.
yeah,
So yeah, so he does that, and then the dream walking Wanda shows up and starts wrecking Ultron bots, and everybody springs into action. My favorite is like the alarm goes off. He's like, somebody's breached the facility. Doctor Strange goes, "No shit, genius."
yeah, and then she runs through the Illuminati.
Oh man, so the you were talking about like harrowing stuff. The way she makes Black Bolt die
Oh,
by
yeah,
taking away his mouth and making him explode his
back of his
voice through the back of his head is terrifying, and then she makes just, like I don't really know what she does to Reed Richards, she turns him into, like, strings, basically. It's kinda like the Thanos Reality Stone thing.
I was gonna say, like,
Like,
she
destroys
stretched him so far to where he was just thin.
and then she destroyed his essence or something. She, like, did an extra, like, now you're disintegrated and now you're nothing. But the best fight in this movie is the Captain Marvel, Captain uh, Captain Carter Wanda fight. I love
Yeah,
it. I think that fight is awesome.
and
And we
yeah,
got a I could do this all day from Captain Carter, which is awesome. She has a jetpack, which is pretty cool. I like that. Um, and then yeah, she rips through them too. She rips through both of them.
yeah, and literally rips through
Rips through
Captain
Captain
Marvel.
Carter. Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, we didn't get to see two halves. I assume if Sam Raimi got to do an R-rated version, we definitely would have saw two halves of Haley Atwell, which would have been weird. And then Christine's trying to get America out of the thing, but Wanda's affecting the electronics in the building, which is kind of cool. Wish she would do that more. And Xavier goes down and he realizes that this version of Steven, is not like the Steven who messed stuff up in this universe. He has a good soul or something. He can see into his mind and he knows that his thoughts about getting the Book of Ashanti are pure. So he wants Mordo to let him go if things get bad so that they have an escape plan. And Xavier goes down and he connects. That's where we get the shot from the trailer where we see it zoom in on Wanda because we got to see like from the cartoon where he would do uh telepathic stuff and we would see like air bubbles and whatnot, which I was like, yeah, we get to see that. And he goes into her subconscious and he's trying to get her out. That's a cool shot because it's back from WandaVision, right? Where she's stuck in the rubble of her apartment.
Yep.
She was a kid and he's trying to get her out. And it's kind of this is kind of it related too, where she's like out of a hole and then she like gets sucked into the hole. And then the fucking Wanda spirit comes and breaks his damn neck, which is also very harrowing. And it made me sad.
Yeah, yeah, it's an entire thing. And yeah, like so then they
So they get uh, in the course of that, America starts like realizing how to use her power. She gets out. Steven shows up because he fights Mordo. They have this interesting fight where he tries to pick on him, so he'll uh, Mordo will like break his handcuffs, and the handcuffs are like power dampeners, like in Deadpool 2.
right.
So he puts one on Mordo, so they have like a fist fight, but he escapes from them. There's some cool music in it. There's some cool guitar riffs and whatever. So Steven finds them, and they have to get to the Book of Ashanti, which is at like a waypoint, I think is what they said, like a halfway point between realities. And they go through the sewers. And Wanda, there's like creepy, again, more Evil Dead stuff where she's basically like a zombie, and she's like chasing after them, but she's like limping, and they're trying to like put doors and blast doors between them, and she's wrecking through it because she's Wanda, and she's Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And they get to a point where he tries to drown her, and that doesn't work. And they get into the place where the Book of Ashanti is. And, they try to use the book. She destroys the book. Wanda takes America. She kind of taps into her power and forces Strange and Christine into another universe. And she takes America back to the Wanderhold, or whatever the hell it's called, to extract her power so she can be with her children, basically in alternate timelines.
Yep. And yeah, then they Christine and Doctor Strange get stuck in this weirdo universe that's been ripped apart.
They call it an incursion.
Yep.
The universes collide into each other, basically.
And he's like, well, I gotta find the Darkhold. So he's like, the other me.
Yes.
And I swore that this was gonna be Strange Supreme.
It kind of was, but it wasn't, right?
Right.
It kind of was. It had that weird black goo, like in What If, when the realities were disintegrating, and they had shots similar to Loki season finale, where you're looking out and you see like the universe, like it kind of seemed like you were at the end of the universe as everything's getting sucked into a hole.
Yeah,
I thought it was, but it wasn't.
Yeah, so he's been using that Strange has been using the Darkhold. He has a weirdo third eye.
Yes, he does. And
so they fight.
Yep.
And our Doctor Strange.
Sorry, did I say that I said the one fight was the best fight, but the most interesting thing in the whole movie was watching the two Stranges fight with musical notes.
Yes.
I've never seen anything like that before in my life. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
So yeah, then the Doctor Strange gets thrown out the window and gets impaled. And then like Christine walks up to him and the eye opens up, and that's one of those moments where I'm like, Ezra would scream.
Yes.
So maybe
nothing comes of it, which is weird.
Yeah. So like maybe by the time he's 10 and like phase 5 is out, then I can have him watch all this.
Okay.
So that would be good. But yeah, so that happens, and yeah, like it. Then he decides he's gonna dream walk into himself.
He has to try to save. He has to use the Darkhold to find where they are, and then he has to dream walk into himself. And Christine's like, "You're just like the other Strange." She's like, "Yeah, I know, I am, but I got to do this. It's the only way."
And
but
she's like,
"Don't you have to have a version of yourself in there to dream walk into?" He's like, "Didn't have to be alive." And then this is the most Evil Dead of everything that was Evil Dead in this movie.
And also, that's so weird because he had only been dead for a little while. He should not be that decayed.
Man, he got super decayed
really quickly.
You would think a magic burial would preserve him even more.
Yeah, like I was like, he should look like it. Like I understand they were just like, haha, we want zombie Strange. And okay, cool, I guess. And then there's like evil demons.
Yeah, so he's perverting nature to a point where he's supposed to get like, I don't know, bound by the spirits of the Darkhold or something. Like,
yeah,
he's doing something against nature. So they're affecting Zombie Strange on the mountain, and they're affecting our Strange in this pocket universe has the incursion happening. Christine has to fight off. By the way, Christine fighting off the things and with the thing, which I didn't hear what she said it was called. But the thing that she lights up and it blows, she's like, "I'll send you back to hell." Also very Evil Dead. I enjoyed that too.
But yeah, so then he masters the demon things and flies with them all the way to the mountain, and then that's right about the time
Freaking
Wong
cool.
has
Wong got pushed off the top. We forgot to mention, and we thought he was dead, but since he's
yeah,
Wong,
I thought he was
not
dead, and I was like, "Oh, this will be their way of getting Steven back as Sorcerer Supreme." And I was like, "That's lame." But yeah, he climbs up there with a kunai, magic kunai, and
and the demons and Wanda are aware that Zombie Strange is coming, so they're getting prepped. But it's one of those things where you're expecting like a big thing from one of the demons, but the kunai goes right up through his face, and he pulls him down.
yeah,
And then Strange shows up and starts using the demons to fight these, Wanda's demons, gets rid of them all. Wong comes up, and then we have a battle here.
yeah,
And interesting because it's a parallel to what we saw at the beginning of the movie with the demon that he tried to encase in the rocks and then hold. He tries to do the same thing with these demons and tries to hold her, but it doesn't work. She's breaking through. So we're at the point where, much like in his dream, which was just the alternate reality, we think that Strange has to take America's power so that Wanda can't get it. And then there's a misdirect where he says, "No, I'm just here to kind of like pump you up and make sure that you realize that you can't control this, and that you're here to kick this witch's ass." This is the pep talk. And she gets up, she starts realizing how to use her punching multiversal power after Wanda breaks through, and she's about to punch her into like Mustafar. It's the only way I can describe it.
yeah.
But Wanda, Wanda's too powerful, and she's like, "I'm going to give you exactly what you want." And then this is a great. I like this this kind of plays into the first Doctor Strange, where it subverts your expectation of the third act, where you think it's going to like be a big battle that results in some like world defining, world potential shattering cataclysm, and it's just America taking her back to that universe that they were in before, where she was dreamwalking, and showing her like how she's scaring her children and how she doesn't really want to hurt them. And it's the scene from the trailer, but we didn't know in this context that it's the Scarlet Witch coming to terms like this is wrong, and her Wanda telling her basically just know that they're cared for by someone who loves them. And that snaps Wanda out of her homicidal terror that she's been causing on the multiverse.
Yeah. So then she decides that she's going to destroy the temple.
Yeah.
And so she does.
She takes America and Wong leave Zombie Strange, and she has that conversation with Zombie Strange that she has to do this.
Yep, and she destroys all the Darkholds and all the universes,
which is really cool. And obviously, she kills herself. That's the implication.
Yeah, that was one of those moments.
Although she killed herself, but then when the thing was collapsing, there was the spark of red that happened.
Yeah,
as well, which I guess that could mean that she was using that to destroy all the Darkholds, but it could mean that she also, saved herself at the end potentially. There's that potential too, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was going to be a thing where, because White Vision is out there.
Yes.
Like I thought the entire time, like he was going to show up and be like, "We can actually do this if you want to."
Yeah.
Like, or he would be the thing that saved her. And whenever she just supposedly dies, and then like Doctor Strange like takes that Christine back.
Yeah, and they have a nice moment where he's like, "I love you in every universe." I thought I would be I thought I was happy. Well, he has that conversation with the other Strange about like, again, the happiness thing. I said we were at a wedding and she asked if I was happy. I was like, "I'm the Sorcerer Supreme, the most powerful hero in the universe. Why wouldn't I be?" But of course I wasn't. And he's, they sort of continue that theme. And then, yeah, she takes There's like an implication that maybe, either she comes and lives with him in 616, or he lives in, what was it, like 883? I don't remember what
Yeah,
it was.
838.
838. Yeah. But that doesn't happen. They just go their separate ways. And that leads to the end of the, well, we go to Kamertage. We learn that America's being trained as a sorcerer.
Yeah.
Him and Wong have a nice, again, we have the theme about happiness. Are you happy? You would think saving the universe would bring us happiness, but it doesn't really. But we sort of come to grips with our choices, and that's fine. And then, he and America have a conversation like, I'm glad I fell into your universe. Me too, kid. Me too. And then that's basically the end. But there's a thing where he's on the street and he's walking, and then all of a sudden he collapses and a freaking third eye shows up, and you're like, oh no, what does that mean? And then we get to the mid-credit scene, which is the important credit scene, because he's just walking along. So he collapses in the street, and then he's walking on the street again without the eye, and you're like, oh, I guess that eye didn't mean anything. And he just gets approached by freaking Charlize Theron as this character that, again, I don't think either of us really know who she is.
Nope.
And she's like, Stephen Strange, you caused an incursion. You just basically like put the fabric of multiverse in danger. We have to fix it unless you're afraid. And she gets like a Psylocke blade and rips open a tear into like a midway point between the universes. And nice cool gag where he turns the scarf into the cloak, and then his third eye is there. So I guess the third eye is part of him when he's not using magic to show a fake version of himself on the street. And they go into this, pocket place between universes. I guess she's going to be a big part of Doctor Strange 3 whenever that happens. And then, as you had alluded to, end credit scene is just Bruce Campbell in 838 finishing punching himself. He's like, oh,
it's over.
It's over. And that's the end. So, given that recap, the full recap we just gave, where do you think you would rank this amongst MCU movies?
I think it's definitely in the better half.
Yeah. Do you like it better than the original Doctor Strange?
I do like it better than the original Doctor Strange.
It's more exciting. I think the original Doctor Strange is a better movie, like, because it has a beginning, a middle, and an end to a singular story. But this is way more fun, way more weird. I like the Sam Raimi-ness of it. It's a little lame at parts. The dialogue's not written fantastically. It's a little corny. It relies a little bit on the Sam Raimi stuff a little too much, but the horror stuff makes it completely unique.
Honestly, like, I had some predictions for this. Like, I thought, like, all right, in another universe, Wanda did the No More Mutants thing, and that's the reason why we
House of M stuff. Yeah.
So I thought something was going to happen and that would break, and that you would see Magneto, like, her being like, I don't have a family. And then him come out of the sky and be like, yeah, you do.
Do you like how it should have ended? You are my children, and you should be called mutants.
Yeah, because I thought Patrick Stewart's in the movie. I thought the Illuminati was going to be like a conglomerate of multiple universes. So I thought, oh, wherever Wanda stuck all the X-Men, that is going to be Charles from that universe.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, oh, well, this will be a great opportunity to introduce the rest of everyone else. But because like I commented the other day, there Paige for Betty posted on Twitter. She was like, "What is the best casting choice in a superhero movie ever?" And a lot of people think it's Hugh Jackman as Wolverine or Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. I'm like, it's Michael Fassbender and Ian McKellen as.
I would also throw Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark in there as well.
Like, I feel sorry for Marvel when they have to recast.
I mean, they're talking about, there's real talks about Taron Egerton being Wolverine now.
Yeah.
which would play more into what he should be like from the comics, because he should be a very, very short guy.
Yep.
And
Short,
he sort of
tough.
has a, yeah, and he can get that way
But
quite a bit.
yeah, like, I feel sorry for when they have to cast Magneto because Fox, like, they didn't do a whole lot right with the X-Men movies, but they cast
I think
Magneto
half
perfect.
of them were decent.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
half of them were decent.
I would say the last 3 I was not a fan of. I was
The
not a
last
fan of.
3 being Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, and what? Days of Future
I was
Past?
thi Yeah, no, I was thinking I hate Deadpool 2.
Oh,
I'm not a fan, but also I was thinking Dark Phoenix, Apocalypse, and,
New Mutants?
New Mutants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that would be 4, but I know a lot of people like Deadpool 2,
I
so
like Deadpool too, and New Mutants is okay, but it's not, like,
I
great.
will say it's weird to say that, like, that's the worst thing Maisie Williams has ever done, and, like, it's so weird.
He's not bad in the role, though. It's not
Yeah,
her fault. Like, the
like,
casting in that's decent, like, Anya Taylor-Joy's good. I like, Blue Hunt, I believe is her name, who plays, the lady who make the Native American woman who brings nightmares to people.
oh,
I'm blanking on her name. Boy, what a fandom player I am.
yeah, I've only watched this one movie one time for trivia.
I watched it twice.
I will never watch it again because I do not ever plan on playing singles in trivia ever again.
Okay.
Like, if that question comes up in a round 1 and it's not Maisie Williams or why did they recast Sunspot from Days of Future Past, I will not know anything that goes on in that movie. Uh,
Danny. Her name is Danny. See, my brain just needs a little bit of time, but I can get it.
but hopefully if it's a round 2 question, then Ryan can
Mm.
he'll he'll have us. So,
But the point is that they did a lot of casting stuff right.
yes, they did, and I think that's the best one, and, like, I feel
I think the Stuart McAvoy combo is also pretty good as well.
yes, that is also true.
Yeah.
But, like, and now that they've actually brought Patrick Stewart in, so, like, they could theoretically be like, "Oh, he looks like that in every universe," and just use him.
Well, they better. I mean, he's starting to look old, unfortunately.
Yeah. Or even, like, use young if they decide to go with James McAvoy, but I don't think they could pull that off with they could do both. They would
Well, I
need
mean, so Deadpool's going to be in it, and they pulled the newer X-Men into it. So I guess there's a through line to that if they wanted to do that.
the Galaxy Geeks said, "Had to swing
Right.
and show some love."
After 2 hours. We've been at this for 2 hours, which, by the way, I think means we should think about wrapping this up.
Yeah, I agree. I'm over here super tired,
Yeah.
but,
But the point, I think on cursory, I haven't done the rankings. I haven't done my rankings, but I think it can't breach the top 5. But maybe
yeah,
it's like 10, 9 or 10, maybe. That's kinda where I'm thinking. Maybe 10 or 11, 9 to 11, probably somewhere in there.
yeah, they said, Galaxy Geeks said they were watching Titans, so
Okay. I'm not chiding you for that, just letting you know. We're 2 hours in. It's been a long time.
oh, and, eventually, at some point, we will have a Galaxy Geeks Invasion of the Supernova show.
Ooh,
We just need to book that.
nice.
Um, yeah, so but yeah, this is, it was a good movie. I was
It was good. I would like to revisit it at some point. I'm probably not gonna go back to the theaters to watch it, but when it comes to Disney Plus, then I'll watch it again for sure.
yes, did you know this is the 28th Marvel or MCU movie?
Oh, I thought it was like 26, 27.
I think it's 28
Uh, so
because I think
12, and then there were how many? There were what, 12 in phase 3?
yeah,
And then we've had Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals. Yeah, 28.
Yep.
Or
So
No Way Home, or was it 23? Or did we have 11 in Phase 3? Civil War, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Guardians 2, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel,
in-game.
Endgame, Spider-Man: Far From Home. All right, so 11. Yeah, so this would be 28.
Yep. So like I think Wakanda Forever is going to be number 30. That's
because Thor: Love and Thunder, which by the way, I think that's going to kick the shit out of this movie, and I think Thor: Love and Thunder will probably have an opportunity to make it into my top 5. I bet.
Yeah, I agree. I think this one definitely has the potential to be the best of the Thor movies.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
But yeah, now it makes me feel bad because like I always thought they would do like a Young Avengers thing with Speed and Wiccan,
I don't think so.
and
Or
now
if they do, that's not till Phase 5 or 6.
now, especially like if Wanda's gone. But I mean, this is a comic book movie universe.
And we know Wanda and she has powers in 838. So Wanda does exist in infinite timelines. So
Yes. It's so weird that like DC started the multiverse in 2016 and Marvel got to it before they did.
well, the funny thing was, I think I saw somebody say that this movie was like the 3rd best multiverse movie of the year because they had the everything everywhere all at once. And then there's another multiverse movie that I don't remember what, but it definitely, people think this pales in comparison to other movies that came out this year in the multiverse, even though what you're saying is true that Marvel got to it first before DC.
I know, like they planned on Flashpoint for they've been planning on that for 7 years and it's not going to come out. I really don't think it is.
It's going to be hard pressed to do so, yeah. Oh well.
Come on, person, you got to calm down and quit getting arrested.
Yeah.
But all right. So that's the end of that.
Yep.
Man, like we're not going to have anything to talk about.
Couple weeks.
Yeah, until Kenobi.
Yeah.
So
maybe we can come next week and we can. I'll try to think about this. Let's come and try to do our MCU rankings now that for 28 movies. Actually,
okay.
Let's do 28 movies and 6 shows.
Ooh, okay.
34. Rank the 34 MCU products.
Okay, yeah, I'm down for that. But yeah, the show was good. It was really long.
It was, yes.
Way longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. We're tired, everyone out there. We're tired.
Yeah, I have this is the first day where I watched my son all by myself.
Yeah.
Which means and I have not been feeling the best, so I didn't sleep well last night. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to take a nap." And every time I would go to sleep, I'd be like, if he wakes up in 2 minutes, I'm going to be mad because I only slept 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But I wish I had just taken a nap, but it's okay. It happens.
Right.
Yeah, it was because my wife went and got her hair done, and it took 5 hours because I don't know.
Who knows?
My hair, it takes 12 minutes, but that's fine.
One of the main differences between men and women.
Yes. But yeah, that's okay. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Week. Yeah, Monday I start my new job. So, woo.
Yeah, that'll be good. I can hear about your first week.
Oh yes.
Next week. All right. Well, you know me. You can find me at Robert Kastner on Facebook if you want to talk, and I will still be. I just had a Onto Geek match, number 1 contender match go up. If you hadn't seen it, go watch it. That was a good time for me. I'll tell you that. But I'll still have other stuff coming out. There's a very fun match of not so much consequence, but of a lot of enjoyment that's coming out on Multiplex channel this week. So catch me on that as well.
Yeah, next week we can definitely. I gotta watch Jake's championship match because he defended the title in 2 leagues, right?
Yeah.
So I gotta watch those, and then we can talk about that. We can move. We can actually talk about fan league stuff in the movie trivia report section. Woo woo. And then hopefully maybe I'll eventually catch up. It's only 10 to 14, and we're at the beginning of the season. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
Only Matt.
if you want to follow me on Twitter at Colton Roberts 8 and follow the show at Supernova_show. And that's the end of it. Robert, do your thing. I forgot to do it last week. Here.
Don't forget to tip your virtual waitresses. Everyone out there in the Supernova show landscape, get it done.